All right, welcome. So this week, you've got a choice to make for your Java discussion topic. But which one do you pick? In the next few minutes, we're going to break down three core Java concepts: constructors, the stack class, and garbage collection, so you can confidently pick the perfect topic for your assignment. Yeah, you could just pick one at random, but where's the fun in that? Let's actually unpack what makes each of these topics so cool and, powerful. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which path feels right for you. So let's dive in. Okay, first up, we've got Java constructors. I love this one. We're going to call this option the architect. And why is that? Well, because constructors are the ones laying the foundation, the blueprint, every single time a new object gets built in your code. So what exactly is a constructor? Think of it like a special little method that just springs into action the moment you create a new object. Its main job, its only job really, is to get that object all set up and initialized so it's ready to go. And here's the thing you gotta remember. Absolutely no object gets created without a constructor getting involved. It's that important. This leads us to a really key question for this topic, one you'll definitely want to explore. Can a class have more than one constructor? And the answer is a big yes. It's a super powerful feature called constructor overloading. What this does is it gives you all this flexibility to create objects in different ways. You could have a default one with no arguments for just a basic object, and then maybe an overloaded one that takes a bunch of arguments for a really customized version. It's kind of like having multiple blueprints for the same building, right? A basic model and a deluxe one. All right, let's move on to option number 2. We're calling this one the data engine. This topic centers on the stack class, and it really gets into a fundamental, huge idea in programming, this concept of how classes can package up all their complexity, giving you these powerful tools without you needing to know every little detail about how they work inside. There's this quote from your textbook that just hits the nail on the head. In a sense, a class is like a data engine. No knowledge of what goes on inside the engine is required to use the engine through its controls. I mean, that's perfect, right? A class hides all the messy internal stuff. Just like the engine in your car, you don't need to be a mechanic to drive. You just use the steering wheel and pedals. Same idea here. You just use the simple controls, the public methods, to make it work. So, this whole data engine idea, well, the official term for it is encapsulation, and it is an absolute cornerstone of object-oriented programming. What it does is it bundles the data and the code that works on that data all together in a nice, neat package. It hides the complex details and gives you a really clean, predictable way to interact with your objects. This is awesome because it helps prevent you from making accidental mistakes and just makes your code way, way easier to manage. And the stack class? It's like the poster child for this concept. It works on a last-in, first-out principle. But here's the thing. You don't have to manage any of that logic yourself. Nope. You just use simple commands like push to add something and pop to take it off. The class handles all that internal magic for you. So if you pick this topic, your assignment would be to really dig into the code from your book and explain how it's such a perfect example of this encapsulation idea. And that brings us to our third and final option, garbage collection. Let's call this one the cleanup crew. This is all about the automatic, totally invisible crew that's working tirelessly behind the scenes in your Java program. Seriously, this topic dives into how Java manages memory for you, which is honestly one of its most famous and celebrated features. So what is this thing? Well, garbage collection is basically Java's automatic memory manager. As your program runs, it's constantly creating objects, right? And all those objects use up memory. But what happens when you're done with an object and don't need it anymore? In a lot of other programming languages, it's your job to clean that up. But in Java, the garbage collector just swoops in automatically, finds those unused objects, and reclaims their memory. This is huge. I mean, absolutely huge, because it prevents these really nasty errors called memory leaks. So how does all this magic work? Well, from a high level, it's a process that's often called mark and sweep. It's pretty cool. First, the garbage collector scans through your whole program and puts a little mark on every single object that's still being used. Then it does the sweep phase, where it just goes through and gets rid of everything that wasn't marked. Poof, gone. That freed up memory is then returned to the system ready for the next thing. It's a really elegant solution to what is a super complex problem. Okay, so there you have it. We've got the architect, the data engine, and the cleanup crew. Three totally different but all incredibly important concepts in the Java world. So now let's just put them all side by side to help you figure out which one you want to tackle for your discussion. All right, here is the final breakdown. Just ask yourself what sounds the most interesting to you. If you love the idea of being that architect who blueprints and sets up new objects, then constructors is your topic. If you're more fascinated by the data engine concept, hiding complexity and building powerful tools, then the stat class is definitely for you. And if you're curious about that invisible cleanup crew that makes Java so robust and reliable, then you should totally dive into garbage collection. These keywords here should give you a great starting point for your research too. So that's the big picture. You've got the architect that builds, the engine that runs, and the crew that cleans up. Each one of these is really a kind of hidden magic that makes modern programming work the way it does. The only question left for you is, which piece of magic do you want to pull back the curtain on? Good luck with your choice.